Okay, this is how to make the headband you see me wearing right now. Very simple project, worked up fairly quickly. And what you're going to need is our normal tools, the hook, the scissors, the crochet hook, which you can probably use a different size hook if you want, but I found this one to work just fine. It's a size G, and I tend to use it for almost every project when I'm casting off. Even though it may not always be the right one, it just seems to be the one that I'm most comfortable with using. So grab whatever one you want to use. I stole my daughter's scissors for tonight because I can't find mine. And then I got my crochet hook, or not my crochet hook, my normal knitting tool with some pen grippers that are around it to help give it a little cushion. Be careful putting them on because even though this isn't sharp to the touch, if you're going like this and you're pushing it, you can jam it into your hand. I've done that. Okay. So, to make the ones on my head, I went along with the idea that, okay, I tend to use this loom, which is a green Knifty Knitter loom, and this is what I tend to use when I want to make myself a hat. It tends to be the perfect size for my head. So that's what I did. So if you're someone that's probably the yellow loom, go for that. If you have a smaller head, and, when you make your hats, they need to be smaller. You can try the red one and see if it'll work. If not, you might be able to do it as more like a flat panel that comes down, and do it the length that you need by measuring your head, and then just sew the end pieces together and cast it off like you would the rectangle loom. Yeah, like a rectangle loom video I think I did. And what we're going to use is this kind of yarn here. This is called Lion Brand Incredible Yarn, a ribbon yarn for knitting and crocheting. I don't know how much experience anybody's had with this yarn, so I just wanted to kind of show you it. Now, price of this yarn. I guess it retails for quite a bit of money, but I got it through an online knitting or yarn store called Smiley's Yarn. I'm in no way affiliated with them, I'm just mentioning it. And my friend and I went in because you have to spend a certain amount in order to get the merchandise, and so we decided to go in together. And this ended up being like $1.99 for this size. I ended up getting 2 of them. So I can't guarantee, like to make the sweater or the scarf you see in the picture, they say you would need like 3 balls of this to do it. I have 2. So I figured this would be good stuff for like smaller projects, like a headband or something. And it's cooler with the colors, I figured, for like kiddish or for a 33-year-old to wear, like I'm doing right now. So anywho, this is what we're going to use. And it's really thin, like obviously it's like ribbon. Just want to show you, but it's got beautiful colors. And the reason my camera's changing colors is because of where I'm holding this. I mean, if I hold it back, probably it will come back. But it's beautiful yarn. This camera's not doing it justice. It's really shiny and everything. It's really beautiful in person. I mean, you can't quite tell. You see it better in the picture I took. This webcam's still a little off. Hopefully soon it will go back into the regular color. I don't know why it's giving me an orange hue, but oh well. We'll just plug along. You'll still be able to see what I'm doing. So you got your green loom, and you got your ribbon yarn. You're going to cast it out, and excuse me if I have a cough drop in my mouth. I'm trying to keep myself from coughing. Okay, so you're going to do your normal casting on, making your little slip knot, attaching it. I attach it right on the loom, and then I use all strands together. I take both strands to hide it in the project so that I wrap the whole thing around. This is actually the first time I've ever used this yarn, so I'm not too familiar with it. And the ends that don't fit like that, you can fix later. You kind of push it down as you go along. Be careful with how tight you might be pulling it. See, my camera came back to normal color. So that's all we're doing is we're E-wrapping it. So go ahead, move this down so you can see what I'm doing with my hands. Go ahead and just E-wrap it around. And I do the tight stitch on this. That's how I did it in order to kind of get this effect. So it's very simple. And this part that's a little looser is the part that got casted on. The part that's towards the front here is when I took it off. So this has loops in between, crochet chains in between, but this is a little snugger here than it is back here. So that's probably the way you're going to want to wear it. Now I did 2 chains in between when I took this off. You may be able to get away, like I was almost thinking if I redo another one to try 1 chain in between to see if it will give me a little snugger fit. So there's another idea. Your best bet is just to play around with the ideas to see what you need. Now quickly, I'm just off camera, E-wrapping it the rest of the way. And what we're going to do is we're treating this, excuse me, with the tight stitch that I talk about, where you do the 1/2 stitch. It seems to work the best for, I like the way it looked for the headband. So I've already got it around once. So you're wrapping it once, so it's just going to look like this, and then go around. Let's turn this a little bit here, and just go around and wrap it again. Let's see if I can get it in camera here. Just wrap it again. Very simple project. You can pretty much do whatever stitch you want. You could try the chunky braid stitch, which is doing 3 strands over 1. You could even try the regular knit if you want. I'm just showing how I did the one on my head. So, but what I love about this yarn is it's so different to work with. Like, I'm so used to the other that it's kind of nice to mix up your yarns. Like I said, I'm just wrapping it around. That's all it's looking like. Now, a little tricky when I do the third time around is you really want to make sure you're only getting the bottom strand when it comes time to knit over. I noticed one time on the one I'm actually wearing, I forgot to wrap a peg. So just be careful of that too, that you don't forget a peg or something. So now we got to wrap twice, and we're going to go around a third time, just for what I did. So you can kind of push these down a little bit to give yourself some room when you're bringing it over the third time. What I do like it being multicolored in a way is it makes it a little easier to see, excuse me, what the bottom strand is. So you got to wrap twice, so go around one more time, so we have it wrapped 3 times. This is a great little project. I mean, you could add flowers to the headband if you wanted for like a child or even an adult. You could try this with regular yarn and see how it comes out. Like I said, this yarn is supposed to be expensive. I mean, I think it retailed for like $4.99 or $5.99 according to them, and I got it for $1.99 a thing, which is still kind of a little more than I like to spend for that little bit of size. But sometimes you just gotta try something new. Okay, so I got it wrapped 3 times. Now, a trick that I like to do is when you're looking at it this way, this is your peg that you start with, and we start wrapping here. If you go to the peg on this side of it, the end side, like where you stopped wrapping, and you take that bottom one over the top, it locks it into place. Hold it this way. Okay, it locks it into place, so now we can go around and do all the normal without having to hold on to that strand. And I think I've mentioned that before. So now what we're doing is going to take the bottom over the top. That's all you're going to do. See if I can show you. Is I'm grabbing the bottom strand and I'm taking it up and over the top. And then kind of give it a little push down. You can mix up what you do. Like you can decide okay, bottom over the top. Mix down just a little bit to make it easier to see. But I had to look and see because sometimes you end up almost grabbing both. And sometimes your hook might go through the yarn a little bit, but it's okay as long as it goes up and over. Third strand. There's 2 strands on there, and you're going to go up and over. And you're going to go around as many times as you need to make it the width that you want. So I can't guarantee it. The one on my head is probably maybe 4 or 5 inches, and I think it might be a little too wide, so I would probably do it a little less if I was making another one for me, which I'm kind of thinking about making another one here anyway. That's why I figured good time to do a video when you want to do another one. That's all I'm doing is I'm taking that bottom strand over the top. Bottom strand over the top. I'm just making sure that I'm not getting the other one. And you could even buy probably ribbon, regular ribbon if you can from a cheap store, and try using it as if you were using yarn to make a headband. You know, instead of regular yarn. I mean, this is called ribbon yarn, but I'm sure you could use regular ribbon if you found it, and it might work out pretty nice too. Let's get to the end. So I'm going to turn it my way and quickly get to the end for you. Okay, so we're just taking the bottom over the top too. And then you're just going to wrap it again. I mean, you could change up your stitch if you want, but again, to make the one I did it as a tight stitch. And if you want it thicker, you could probably do it a little wider and then bring it up to make like almost as if you were doing a brim, similar to how I do it in the baby video about headband. Okay, so we're back to the beginning. So we got all double over and kind of pushing down a little bit just so you have the space to put the next row around. So just kind of go around and pushing down a little bit so that you can work it more. Now I'm not going to make this as long as I did the other one, or the one on my head. And then you're just going to go around and you're going to E-wrap it again and take the bottom over the top too. So go ahead and work that for a little bit, and then we'll come back and I'll show you how to take it off. Okay, now I went down, like I said, I want to make this one skinnier than the one I'm wearing. But what I forgot to mention is before we cast it off, I actually did a couple rows of the chunky braid stitch. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. That way it leaves me with just one loop on it when I'm ready to take it off. So we already have the 2 strands on, so we're going to wrap it 2 more times so that we can do our chunky braid stitch. And if you need to, push the strands down if they're in your way so that you can make sure that you can wrap it. Like 2 more times. Alright, I'm back. I had to pause that for a second. My daughter was yelling to me from her bedroom. As usual, you know it's like when you're a parent. Get in the middle of doing something and then your kids want something. She's in bed, she's at school in the morning, so hopefully she will fall asleep soon. Okay. So I'm still wrapping around. This will make it the 3rd time around. And then what I need to do, so all I'm doing is wrapping it so that I have 3 strands on there. But I want to do the chunky braid stitch. So what I'm going to do is wrap it again so that I can do a 3 over 1. Okay, so I've got it done, so it's the 3 times wrap. Now go around and wrap it again so you can do it 4 times. Now what you can do, because it might be a little tricky to hold them, is what you can actually do. Excuse me, I'm going to turn this a little bit here and move it down so you can see. What I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap it, and then I'm already going to take the 3 strands and over the top. That way I can just do it 1 peg at a time and make sure I have the room. Okay, so that's what it's going to look like. You just do that. So the next one you're going to go over, you're going to wrap it. You're going to wrap it, and then you're going to already go over while you're already there and get those 3 strands. Excuse me, better to go underneath. 3 strands and pull it up over the bottom. And that's what you can do. You can kind of work 1 peg at a time, wrap it, and grab 3 bottom strands and take them over the top. Wrap and over the top. There's only 1 loop left on there. And then I'll show you how to take this off. Now you can do this twice if you want around, or you can just do it once. I'm just going to do it once. I believe for the one I'm wearing, I went down a little further on it before I started doing this, and I did the chunkiness twice. But again, it's going to be what you want. Yes, you like the one that's on my head, but you may find when you're doing it that you want it to be skinnier. Like I'm doing this one, you may find that you want it to be thicker. You want it to have more of a design where maybe you're going to do a different stitch throughout it. This is just the idea. It's worse is when it doesn't want to cooperate. And taking this off is going to be pretty easy. It's going to be similar, like I said before, to taking off the baby headband that I did. It's just going to be using a crochet hook, creating chains in between. Now the one on my head, I did 2 chains in between, and that's right here. That's when I took it off. This is where I cast it off, and I did 2 chains in between. I'm actually going to try it when I'm doing this one with 1 chain in between to see if it gives me a little tighter feel on my head. So I made, this one's a little skinnier and hopefully tighter. So what you might want to do first is practice. Grab yourself some yarn and make a quick one up. Do the chains as 1 or 2, whatever you decide to do the first time, and try that. I do like a practice one. So it's usually better to do that because that way you're not using your good yarn. Like I should have practiced before I did the one for my head because if it doesn't come out right and I don't know how tight I need it to be around my head, then you kind of feel like sometimes you wasted that yarn, but you can frog it and use it again. Excuse me. So I'm almost back to the beginning, and the next step after that is going to be to cast this off. Because it's a fun, simple project, and I really like the way it looks worked up with this yarn, the ribbon yarn. It's definitely yarn I might want to get some more of, but I definitely want to get it when it's on sale. Because if it costs a lot in the yarn, then you almost have to charge more when you want to sell the items. And I do try to sell some of my items. I'm working on some other projects to try to add to the to sell pile. If anyone is interested in purchasing anything from me, just contact me on Facebook or check out my website to see the kind of things I do. I don't usually replicate things that often because I tend to go with the flow. So that's just the way I tend to work. I'm also working on a very simple loom knitting book, just kind of my experiences, given that I haven't been loom knitting that long. Just some of the little tips and tricks I've kind of learned along the way, and any other tips and tricks that people might have submitted to me, so to make it kind of different. So I'm almost to back to the thing. Like I said, I'm just wrapping it and grabbing the 3 strands over the top. So there's only one loop on it. It just makes it easier for casting it off if there's only one loop on there. But you don't have to. You can leave the 2 on there. Okay, so I'm going to move this computer back in the front of me here. So now I've got it so there's only one loop on each strand. Go around and make sure just make sure that you only have 1 strand, because I have been known to leave 2 strands on there. Now, when you want to cast this off, okay, I'm holding this backwards, but normally you would look at it, I'd hold it towards me, so I can show you the back, but because I'm showing you, I'm going in this way. Now, this is where the peg is. Now, normally when I wrap to the right, but when I want to cast it off, I'm going to work my way to the left. Yeah. So I'm going to grab, you might need your hook to get the first one off, so I'm going to put that where I can reach it, and you're just going to take this, and another thing you want to do really quick is pull out some extra yarn so that it doesn't get tight on you as you're working as much. Okay, and what I'm going to do is this is where we last wrapped, but I'm going to pick up the loop on this side. The first peg that we would normally wrap is going to get put on my crochet hook. And now, because like I said, I want to do this a little tighter, I'm only going to do 1 chain, but you have it on the loop. Let me make sure you can see it, it's hard. And then you're going to grab over here and you're going to do wrapping it around your crochet hook and then pulling it through that loop. I'm only doing 1 in between this time because I want it a little tighter. But you can do as many chains in between as you need to for your head. I did 2 for the one that I'm wearing, and as you can see, it's got a little give to it. But that's why I'm going to try just doing 1 this time. And then all you do is you grab the next loop, and not to lose it like I just did. Okay. It's a little tricky. This one is a little slipperier, or more slippery, or slippery, I don't know. And then you're going to take the back loop, just like we've done other projects, and take it over the top. And then create another loop, bring it through, then grab your another hook, or another loop, and then back over the front, create a loop, put the other one on there, back over the front. See if I can do it closer so we take. Alright, we're doing a loop. Okay, 1 loop, and then I grab the one over here. So I have 2 on there. I take the back over the front. And this does work up pretty fast when you're doing it. One more time up close. how you're going to work your way around. And make sure you have your scissors handy. It's a really fun project to kind of work on when you're loom knitting and kind of, once you get better at it and better at it, projects will work up a lot faster. That's what I've noticed in the short time I started looming. If I'm focused and not distracted, I can do a project pretty quick. Like I said, it only took me a little while to wrap down as far as I did, but it's to be a skinnier headband than the one I have on my head. Move this down a little bit more so you can see what I'm doing. See, we're getting towards the end. The end is in sight. Like I said, you may find that you need to do more chains in between. Go right ahead. And you would obviously make the 2 chains and then you would do like we're doing normally. Almost to the end. What's great is it will fall pretty much right off the loom when you get to the end. It's hard to I know with casting off because you really don't want to have any distractions. So something that if you're getting close to the end of a project and you know you're going to be casting off, try not to get distracted. Make sure the kids are sleeping, make sure, everything that you would maybe normally get distracted by isn't there, because believe me, I've sometimes had to stop mid-casting off something to go into my daughter or something, and it's almost hard to come back and do a project. Like right now, she's making a bunch of noise in her bedroom, but I want to get to this last thing, and then I can stop, because she's just making weird noises. She's totally fine. She's just being a kid. So, once I get this to fall off, I will go to attend to her and come back and show you the last little bit for finishing this off. So that last loop on there, last one on there, last chain in between for here, and then I will attend to my daughter, who should be sleeping, and show you how I finish this off. Okay, I'm back. She needed a Kleenex. Okay, so we have that one loop still on there. Thank God it didn't fall off while I was gone, because it makes me mad. Now what I do is, because there's a gap. You notice there's a little bit more of a gap in between. So I'm going to make that one chain like I did. And I'm going to go over here and just put my crochet hook through another loop that's over here and do one of those going back through the top again. Then what we're going to do is we're going to cut ribbon yarn, because we don't need any more. We cut about 4 or 5 inches to play around with there. And then we're going to pull that yarn, pull this yarn all the way through that hole. I'm going to give it a little snug tight and then make another little knot. Just the way that I like to do the knots. I'm sure there's other ways. I just like to make it secure. I mean, spend all that time working on something, you want it a little more secure. And then we got the extra strand here from the beginning project that now we can kind of just cut. It's hanging out and just trim it down a little bit so you don't notice it as much. And then the strand that you have here, you can do the same thing after you've knotted it off a couple times. Just cut it so you can't notice it as much. And there's our headband. And we'll see real quick if it fits my head. Okay, like I said, this is tools here. Okay. So it's a little different too, because it's skinnier, so it's kind of doing this rolling thing, which is kind of cool. So I'm going to try putting it on. Now this is definitely, I'll take my glasses off. I know, don't I look cool? It's definitely a lot going to be snugger than what the one I had on is. Yeah, my hair's not the greatest tonight. And there we go. Quick, simple, a little skinnier headband than what I had on. So again, you can just kind of play around with the idea yourself and see, if you want it to be wide like this one. Instead, this is about, and this is what it looks like up close to give you an idea. Just doing a chunky knit stitch. What it looks like, and this one's probably, I don't know, 2-3 inches long. Yeah, I'll put it up against my finger. That's how wide it is. If you look at me setting on it, that's how wide it is. And then this one was only probably about an inch. It's about an inch wide. But it still works what I want to, and I do like it tighter. So I have two different choices. I have a skinnier one or a fatter one. So go ahead, and I hope you enjoy the video, and happy getting projects done.